Hello everyone, I am Kurz, this is Low Manor, and welcome to Comicwatch, the series where we look into the lore and speculation around Blizzard's Overwatch comics. In this episode, we're looking into the murky world of Vishkar and Symmetra in her comic, A Better World. In the Overwatch universe, this is actually the second time we see Rio, though the first is very much a blink and you'll miss it appearance in the first ever Overwatch cinematic. We get a feel for the kind of damage it took though, and maybe why so much of the city is still very poor and run down. Strangely, only a few skyscrapers stand out amongst the sea of favelas, though it must be noted this could just be a small snapshot of the city as a whole, but you'd think the mayoral building would be in the heart of Rio. What is clear is how badly rebuilds and improvements are needed. Enter Collado, local developer, and Vishkar, ambitious technological and international company. By this point, Vishkar have already built Utopia, and are ambitious beyond belief, and with that comes a very obvious dose of arrogance. This flows through everything they do, from the holographic model laid out, the holo projection of Sanjay, as if he'd need to turn up in person, through to Symmetra's parting words. Perhaps they really do believe they're making the world a better place, but if so, it's definitely ignorant of the desires of others. Their arrogance is blinding, however. Realistically, they stood no chance against Collado and should have realised it from the off. There is, after all, a large picture of him with the mayor in the mayor's office. It's actually the one Symmetra straightens, but I'll come on to that later. He's also her neighbour, owning and occupying one of the other skyscrapers right next to hers. The excuse the mayor gives about favela disruption is a fob-off, but one that turns out to be rather prescient in the long run. Symmetra fervently believes in the ability, technology, and most importantly the goals of her employers. Her parting words to the mayor highlight this with their unequivocal assuredness. Vishkar is making the world a better place. Whether this is their doctrine or mission statement, I don't know, but it seems Symmetra at least clings onto it throughout both this comic and, I'd assume, the rest of her life. Sanjay has a slightly different spin on it though. To him, it is the greater order that matters most, and I don't believe those ultimately mean the same thing. Either way, it's at the core of who Symmetra is, and in that arrogance she is easily irritated by those that disagree. It is to this end that she's happy to don what turns out to be her espionage gear, I'd question how practical it is to be honest, and infiltrate Collado Holdings, but not before she solidifies her beliefs via a walk through the favelas. Interesting to note that at this point the population are already protesting before Vishkar have done a thing. The favela belongs to the people. Safe to assume this is the beginning of what will inevitably lead to the Lucio-led uprising, but at least at the outset Vishkar were not the target of their ire. Rio had problems before the hard light specialists came in, they merely exacerbated the issue. Symmetra can't stand the colours, chaos or stench of the favelas. They remind her too much of the disorder of her home in Hyderabad, a place and lifestyle she has spent her life escaping. She's utterly incapable of understanding why anyone would want to live like that. Rosa is her one beacon of perfection in the sea of misery, and after meeting her, Symmetra would do anything to make her life better. Or at least, better in the Vishkar vision of things. Now, to the point I didn't want to touch in the Lorewatch we recently made, as I felt it more fitting here. The line, "Sanjay has always said I was different, everyone has, asking where I fit on the spectrum." This has led to many folks on the internet speculating that Symmetra is autistic to some degree, assuming it to mean where she fits on the autistic spectrum. Alternatively, remember, Vishkar is a hard light focus company, and spectrum at its core means image or apparition, very much in keeping with light. As such, they could use it as a measure of skills and abilities with the technology, as we know it's not something anyone can wield. I am, however, more inclined to buy into the autism or possibly OCD theory, however, at least to some extent. More because of her actions in this comic than what she says here. The picture correction we saw earlier is a big hint at OCD-like behaviour, even stopping mid-sentence to adjust it, unable to tolerate once noticed. And her speech patterns are extremely structured. Very rarely is she written using commas. Short, sharp sentences are what the author uses to define her. Being able to do certain things with a much higher skill level than others is also a typical trait, with her strength clearly coming in hard light techniques. Whether she is or she isn't, she's happy with who she is now, and makes the most of her skills in the name of Vishkar. The infiltration on Collado Holdings shows her limits though. Her skills are formidable, but she won't go as far as her employers will in the name of progress. Her intention is to discredit, whether it be Collado or the mayor herself, she cares not. But when she fails, her action would be to move on. She also prefers to protect herself and incapacitate rather than kill. And a quick note here, does anyone see some similarity between her hard light swipe and the Shimada dragons? Just saying. Vishkar is, however, not so constrained by morals as her, and they use all force deemed necessary to get what they want. The shock on Symmetra's face suggests they've never gone quite this far before, maybe demonstrating their growing ambition and arrogance on the world stage. They clearly don't deem this as being enough to alienate one of their prized assets, however, and it would seem that in the short term at least, they are correct. While shaken by the explosion, the damage to the favelas, the cold-heartedness of her employers, and the severe damage to Rosa's face, Symmetra still believes Vishkar can fix anything. Over the months of building, however, the doubts seeded by these events seem to have taken root. Previously so certain, Symmetra now questions Sanjay, and more importantly herself, as to the rightness of their actions. He's unflappable. Everyone in their place, everything designed to a purpose. No disorder, no dissension. Things are not so clear for Symmetra, but even here at the last, she repeats the same doctrine over and over, making the world a better place. This time though, it seems more in desperation than arrogance. Thanks for watching this episode of Comicwatch, and as ever, please post any thoughts, feelings and theories in the comments below. As mentioned earlier, please do go check out the Symmetra Lorewatch for her full lore as best as we know it to this point. What impact do you think the events in Rio will have on her long term though? How about the autistic theory? I would, as always, love to hear from you guys. If you enjoyed this, then hit that sub button to see more in future, and take a sec to hit that like button. Helps us out loads. Until next time, I've been Kurs, thanks for watching.